If you're a man over 60 and you think masturbating every day is harmless, think again. What if I told you that this habit, something you've probably never questioned, could be quietly contributing to the very prostate problems that are ruining your rest, weakening your stream, and slowly taking charge of your life? It may sound extreme, even uncomfortable to hear, but as a prostate doctor, I've seen firsthand how this one daily behavior can tip the scale from manageable symptoms to life-changing disease. I'm Dr. Lala, a board-certified urologist and men's health specialist with over 30 years of experience treating older men across America. I've dedicated my life to helping men over 60 reclaim their strength, their confidence, and their quality of life. And I'm not here to lecture you. I'm here to tell you the truth. Your regular doctor may be too uncomfortable or too busy to say out loud. You see, for years we were told that ejaculation is always good for the prostate, but the truth is more complex. Yes, it can be helpful when done with purpose, balance, and self-awareness, but when it becomes compulsive, too frequent, or emotionally driven, it starts to quietly inflame the prostate, disrupt hormone function, and worsen urinary symptoms. That's the part no one talks about. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens inside your body when this habit goes unchecked, and more importantly, what you can do instead. You'll learn 5 doctor-approved habits that not only protect your prostate, but can greatly improve your sleep, energy, and confidence, starting this week. And stay with me, because later I'll show you a 10-second at-home test that reveals if your prostate is already under stress, long before symptoms get worse. Let's get started. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss another vital tip to protect your prostate and improve your health after 60. And if this topic speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your feedback helps me create better, more helpful content just for you. Now let's start with the first habit that far too many men overlook, yet it's silently damaging your prostate every single day. It may seem harmless, even routine, but holding in your urine can lead to serious long-term problems. Here's what's really happening inside your body when you do it. Stop holding your urine, it harms your prostate. I can't tell you how many times I've sat across from a man in his 60s or 70s, listening as he tells me about the constant need to urinate at night, the weak stream, the sudden urges during the day, and then he says something like, "But that's just aging, right, doc?" And every time I gently shake my head and say, "Not always, sometimes it's what you're doing that's making it worse." One of the most overlooked yet deeply harmful habits that contributes to prostate dysfunction is something we were all taught to do as kids: hold it in. Whether you're stuck in traffic, sitting through a meeting, or simply feel like the restroom isn't close enough, you tell yourself, "I'll wait a bit," but that wait over time becomes a major problem. Your bladder isn't designed to stretch endlessly. When you repeatedly ignore the urge to urinate, especially as you age, the bladder walls begin to weaken and lose elasticity. It becomes harder to empty completely, leading to residual urine sitting in the bladder, stale, irritating, and sometimes even infected. But here's where it gets directly connected to your prostate. When the bladder gets overstretched, it places pressure on the prostate gland, which sits just beneath it. That constant pressure contributes to swelling and inflammation, and over time, it makes symptoms like frequency, urgency, and nighttime trips far worse. It's not just about discomfort, it's about long-term health. A prostate under constant strain becomes more prone to enlargement and more difficult to manage conservatively. Many men don't realize that benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, can be significantly worsened by this one habit alone. The sad part is that holding your urine feels like such a small act. It's something you don't even think about, but biologically it sends a cascade of stress through your entire lower urinary system. And I get it. I've spoken to veterans who grew up learning to tough it out, farmers who worked long hours and had no time to stop, fathers and grandfathers who sacrificed their comfort for others. The habit becomes part of your identity until the day your body can no longer keep up. That day often arrives in the form of constant nighttime waking, the urgency that hits before you find a bathroom, or that moment when you start leaking before you can unzip your pants. It's not weakness, it's your body waving a white flag, and as your doctor, I need you to listen to it. So what's the solution? It's not complicated. It starts with one decision. When you feel the urge, go. Don't delay, even if it's inconvenient, even if it's not that bad. If you're over 60, your bladder is not as forgiving as it once was, and your prostate is more reactive to pressure. Every time you hold it, you're training your body to ignore its natural signals, and eventually it will stop giving them altogether. That's when the damage becomes harder to reverse. Take it seriously. Even if you're managing well now, this habit builds slowly, silently. And here's something you may not know. If your bladder becomes chronically overfilled, it can actually stretch the urethra and trigger nerve dysfunction, making it harder to sense fullness and control flow. That's a road no man wants to go down. So if you're someone who's been brushing off the urge to pee, convincing yourself it's fine to wait, consider this your wake-up call. Start honoring the signals your body sends. It may feel like a small change, but it can lead to a huge improvement in your comfort, confidence, and long-term prostate health. And speaking of habits that might seem harmless on the surface, but carry hidden consequences, let's talk about one that's even more personal and far more misunderstood: your relationship with masturbation. What you're about to hear might completely change the way you think about this part of your health. 2. Masturbation, helpful or harmful? After 60. This is the part where most men shift in their seats. I've had thousands of conversations with patients over the years, and when the topic of masturbation comes up, there's often a long pause. Some chuckle awkwardly, others glance away, unsure if it's okay to even ask. And yet deep down, they all want to know, is it helping me or hurting me? Let me be honest with you. This question is one of the most important and misunderstood in men's health, especially after 60, and I say that not just as a doctor, but as someone who has seen men's lives change, both for better and for worse, based on how they relate to this one deeply personal habit. For decades the message was simple: masturbation is natural and harmless, and yes, in many ways that's true. In fact, one of the largest studies ever conducted on prostate health, done at Harvard, followed over 31,000 men, and found that those who ejaculated more than 21 times per month had a significantly lower risk of developing prostate cancer. The science tells us that regular ejaculation helps flush out old prostate fluid, reduces congestion, and even lowers inflammation. It's like a gentle internal cleansing that keeps things moving and functioning smoothly. But here's where it gets more nuanced, and this is the part nobody tells you. Frequency alone isn't the whole story. It's not just about how often you do it, but why, how, and how you feel afterward. I've seen men in their 60s and 70s who masturbate daily and feel energetic, relaxed, and balanced. I've also seen men who do it the same way, same frequency, but end up feeling depleted, sore, anxious, and even ashamed. That's when it becomes a problem. When masturbation becomes compulsive, when it's driven by boredom, loneliness, or stress, rather than genuine desire, it starts to take a toll. It can cause pelvic tension, irritate the nerves around the prostate, disrupt your natural hormonal rhythm, and in some cases, even contribute to erectile dysfunction or chronic prostatitis symptoms. It can also affect your emotional well-being, leaving you feeling empty or disconnected. And here's something I often tell my patients, especially the ones who've built this into a daily routine without thinking twice. Your body changes with age. What you could do in your 30s or 40s, without consequence, may not feel the same in your 60s. The tissues around the prostate become more sensitive, the nerves that control sexual function become less forgiving, and your recovery time after orgasm gets longer, especially if your testosterone is lower. So, the very habit you think is keeping you young might actually be draining your reserves. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not here to shame you. In fact, I believe healthy, intentional sexual expression is an important part of life at every age, but I am urging you to listen to your body. Ask yourself, do I feel energized afterward, or drained? Is this bringing me peace or just filling time? Those questions matter more than you think. If you feel relaxed and restored after, you're probably doing it in balance. But if you're noticing pain, fatigue, or emotional lows, it might be time to take a short break, reset your relationship with the habit, and see how your body responds. Many men are surprised by how much sharper, calmer, and stronger they feel after just a few days off. So yes, masturbation can support prostate health, but only when done with awareness and moderation. It's not about stopping, it's about taking control. Like any part of your health, it deserves intention, not autopilot. And now that we've talked about what's happening inside your body on a hormonal and neurological level, it's time to address something even more foundational: your daily water intake. Because most men are unknowingly sabotaging their prostate simply by how, when, and how much they drink. And the fix: it's easier than you think. Let me show you. 3. Hydration strategy. Drink right, not just more. Over the years, I've had countless men sit in my office, frustrated, exhausted, and confused. They're tired of waking up 3 or 4 times a night to use the bathroom. They're sick of the constant urge to pee during the day, always feeling like their bladder is never quite empty. And often one of the first things they tell me is, "Doc, I've been drinking more water like everyone says. Isn't that supposed to help?" Here's the truth, and I say this with all the care and experience I've gained over decades of treating prostate issues. It's not just about drinking more water, it's about drinking water the right way. That small difference can mean everything when it comes to your prostate health. Let me take you back to a patient of mine, John, 68, retired school teacher. He came to me with classic symptoms: urgency, frequency, and multiple nighttime awakenings. He was following all the healthy advice, drinking close to 10 glasses of water a day, staying hydrated, as he put it. But the timing, that's where things went wrong. John would drink most of his fluids in the afternoon and evening, then spend all night paying the price. He didn't need medication. He didn't need surgery. He needed a strategy. And once we adjusted when and how he hydrated, everything started to improve. You see, as we age, our bodies become more sensitive to fluid balance. Our kidneys don't filter quite as efficiently. Our bladders don't stretch and contract the way they used to. And our prostates, well, they tend to grow and push against the urethra, making every little drop of urine feel like a full tank. When you overload your system with water, especially in the second half of the day, you're creating a storm of urgency and interrupted sleep. That doesn't mean stop drinking, it means start thinking. The goal is to spread your water intake throughout the day, in small, steady amounts. Think of it like watering a plant: too much all at once, and the soil floods, but a little bit at a time. That's how roots thrive. Start your day with a glass of water within 30 minutes of waking, then sip steadily every hour or so, tapering off by early evening. I usually recommend that my patients stop major fluid intake by 7 p.m. That doesn't mean you go thirsty, it just means you're giving your bladder a chance to settle before bedtime. The result: fewer nighttime trips, deeper sleep, and a bladder and prostate that finally get to rest. And here's something most men don't realize: when you're mildly dehydrated, which many older men are, you produce more concentrated urine. That darker, stronger smelling urine is more acidic and can irritate both the bladder and the prostate. Over time, this irritation leads to inflammation, which worsens symptoms like urgency and discomfort. But when you stay consistently hydrated during the day, your urine becomes lighter, less irritating, and far easier on your urinary system. It's not just what you drink, it's when, how, and how consistently you do it. I can't stress that enough. Hydration is medicine when done right, and a hidden stressor when done wrong. So if you've been flooding your system late in the day, chugging water after dinner, or only hydrating when you feel thirsty, it's time to shift that pattern. Your prostate will thank you, and so will your sleep. And speaking of gentle habits that offer powerful benefits, the next one may surprise you. It takes just 10 minutes, doesn't require any equipment, and has been shown in studies to significantly reduce prostate-related symptoms. I'll give you one hint: it happens after every meal. Ready to find out what it is? Let's keep going. 4. Walk after meals, a 10-minute cure. When most men think about protecting their prostate, they imagine supplements, medications, or maybe cutting back on red meat. Rarely do they think about something as simple as walking. And yet, after all my years treating prostate conditions in older men, I can tell you this: taking a short walk after meals is one of the most overlooked low-effort habits that can yield powerful results. I've seen it transform the lives of men who once believed their only options were pills or surgery. I remember a patient named Frank. He was 72, widowed, and had recently started noticing more urgency, more nighttime trips to the bathroom, and just a general sense of discomfort in his pelvic area. He wasn't thrilled about the idea of more medication, and to be honest, neither was I. So I asked him a simple question: "Frank, what do you usually do after dinner?" He shrugged and said, "Sit in my recliner and watch TV like always." That one sentence told me everything. So I gave him a different prescription, not a pill, but a practice. I asked him to take a 10 to 15-minute walk after lunch, and again after dinner. Nothing fast, nothing intense, just a steady, gentle stroll. 3 weeks later, Frank came back to my office with a grin on his face. "Doc," he said, "I'm sleeping better, I feel lighter, and I don't have to pee every hour anymore." All that from a few minutes of movement. Why does it work? Because walking improves circulation, especially to the pelvic area. Better blood flow means more oxygen and nutrients delivered to the prostate and surrounding tissues. It helps reduce inflammation, improve metabolic function, and support hormonal balance, particularly testosterone, which plays a key role in prostate health. And it's not just about blood flow. Walking after meals also helps regulate blood sugar, which is crucial. Men with high blood sugar, or insulin resistance, are at a much higher risk of developing prostate enlargement. When your body is constantly flooded with excess sugar, it contributes to systemic inflammation and hormonal imbalances that directly affect the prostate. A simple walk after eating helps your muscles absorb glucose more efficiently, reducing insulin spikes and the strain they place on your internal systems. Even more, walking helps your digestive system move more smoothly, reducing bloating and abdominal pressure that can push against the bladder and prostate. I've found that many men over 60 don't just feel better physically after walking, they feel more in control. They feel like they're doing something active to protect their health rather than waiting for problems to get worse. And here's the beauty of it: walking is free. No prescription, no insurance approval, no complicated routine. Just put on your shoes, step outside, and let your body do what it was made to do. If the weather isn't great, walk indoors, use your hallway, find a mall. The key is consistency, not intensity. Start small. Even 5 minutes is better than none. Build from there, tie it to your meals, so it becomes a habit, not a chore. And if you're struggling with energy or joint stiffness, walk even slower, but keep moving. Over time, your body will thank you, and so will your prostate. Now we've covered how hydration and movement can make a dramatic difference. But there's still one area we haven't touched yet, and it's the one that most men resist changing the most. It's sitting right there on your plate. What you eat could be quietly healing or quietly harming your prostate every single day. Let me show you what to look for and what to avoid, starting with your very next meal. 5. Eat for a healthy prostate. One of the most emotional moments I've had as a doctor came from a man named Harold, 66 years old, who sat across from me, with tears in his eyes. He said, "Doc, I did everything right. I exercised. I stayed active. I even tried to manage stress. But no one ever told me the food on my plate might be the reason I'm dealing with this." His story stuck with me, not just because of the pain he was going through, but because he was right. Most men aren't told that their daily diet may be one of the biggest reasons their prostate is inflamed, enlarged, or under stress. The truth is, what you eat has a direct, measurable impact on your prostate health. Every single bite either reduces inflammation and supports healing, or silently fuels the fire that causes your symptoms. And what's even more surprising, it's often the foods we assume are harmless, or even healthy, that can slowly chip away at our body's ability to heal. Let's start with what helps. There's a powerful antioxidant called lycopene found in red fruits, like tomatoes, watermelon, and guava. Lycopene has been shown in studies to reduce oxidative stress in the prostate and lower the risk of prostate cancer by as much as 28%. But you don't need to memorize numbers. You just need to know that adding these bright red foods into your meals is one of the easiest, most natural ways to protect yourself. Then we have cruciferous vegetables: broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts. These contain compounds called sulforaphane, which support your body's natural detox systems and help eliminate harmful hormones and toxins that may otherwise linger in prostate tissue. I've seen men who added just one serving a day of these vegetables notice less pelvic discomfort, more stable urinary patterns, and even better digestion. Another often overlooked nutrient is zinc, which plays a key role in maintaining the structural integrity of the prostate. Zinc also helps balance testosterone and dihydrotestosterone, the two hormones most responsible for prostate growth. Foods rich in zinc, like pumpkin seeds, oysters, and cashews, can help regulate hormonal activity in a way that supports not just prostate function, but energy and sexual health too. But just as important as what you add in is what you take out. Processed meats, things like sausages, deli ham, bacon, are loaded with preservatives and inflammatory fats that can directly aggravate the prostate. High-sugar foods, including baked goods, soda, and even some breakfast cereals, contribute to insulin resistance and systemic inflammation, both of which are closely tied to prostate enlargement. And I know this next one is hard to hear, but for many men, excessive dairy, especially whole milk and cheese, can increase estrogen levels and slow down hormone clearance, adding fuel to the fire. Now, I'm not telling you to become a nutritionist overnight. I'm telling you to start small. Replace one processed snack with a handful of nuts. Add one serving of broccoli to your dinner. Blend a few slices of watermelon into your morning routine. These changes, when done consistently, create a ripple effect. They reduce inflammation. They regulate hormones. They help your body heal. Food is not just fuel. Food is information. Every bite is a message to your cells telling them to either grow, protect, or break down. And when you begin to shift what you put on your plate, you shift the signals your body sends to your prostate. I often tell my patients, if you want to take control of your health without pills, this is where it starts. And here's the best part: when your diet supports your prostate, it also supports your brain, your heart, your metabolism, and your energy. You don't just feel better, you function better. And now that we've explored how what you eat can either inflame or heal your prostate, let's talk about something even more powerful, yet often completely ignored. It happens while you're asleep, or at least it should, because if you're not getting this one thing right at night, it starts by making your bedroom a sanctuary. Cool, quiet, dark. Avoid screens for at least an hour before bed. The blue light disrupts your brain's melatonin production. Try establishing a bedtime routine that signals to your body that it's time to wind down. Light stretching, deep breathing, or even a short meditation can do wonders for your nervous system. If you eat late, shift your meals earlier in the evening. Avoid alcohol and caffeine after mid-afternoon. These small changes add up. They allow your body to settle, your bladder to stay calmer through the night, and your prostate to rest without constant interruption. And the difference isn't just physical. My patients tell me they wake up sharper, less anxious, and more hopeful. That's the power of deep sleep. It's like medicine you don't have to swallow. Your body already knows how to heal. You just have to give it the time and space to do it. So if you've been brushing off sleep as a luxury, or thinking it's normal to wake up 5 times a night, I'm here to tell you, rest is not optional. It's essential, especially for your prostate. And now that we've covered everything you can do to support healing through movement, nutrition, hydration, and sleep, it's time we look at one final simple test. It takes just 10 seconds, and it can tell you whether your prostate is already under stress. Even if you feel fine, most men fail it and have no idea they're heading for trouble. Let's take a look. 7. At-home stress test. Know if your prostate is in trouble. I remember a patient named Leonard, quiet, proud, 75 years old. He came in for a routine checkup. Said he felt mostly fine, just a bit annoyed by some frequent urges during the day and a few extra nighttime trips to the bathroom. Nothing major, in his words, but I could see it in his face. He wasn't telling me everything, and so I asked him to try a simple test, right then and there. It didn't require any equipment, just a clock and a glass of water. What we discovered in those 10 minutes changed the direction of his care and likely saved him from much more serious problems down the line. You see, many men over 60 are walking around with stressed, swollen, or inflamed prostates and don't even realize it. They chalk up symptoms to aging, to too much coffee, to a long day. But the truth is, the signs are often right there, hiding in plain sight. That's why I teach my patients a basic at-home test. It's quick, free, and surprisingly revealing. Here's how it works. Start with an empty bladder. Drink a full glass of water, about 8 to 10 ounces, then set a timer and pay attention. First, note how long it takes before you feel a strong urge to urinate. Is it 10 minutes, 20, an hour? If the urge hits you too quickly, your bladder may be overly sensitive, or your prostate may be pressing against your urethra, limiting capacity. Now, when you do go to the bathroom, time how long it takes you to empty your bladder. Does it take more than 2 minutes? Do you feel like you still have urine left inside even after you're done? Are you straining or starting and stopping midstream? These aren't just quirks, they're red flags. A healthy urinary system, especially in a man over 60, should allow for controlled filling, a strong stream, and a complete emptying without effort or delay. If you're falling short in any of these areas, it may be time to take action, because what seems like a minor nuisance now can become a serious medical issue later. Urinary retention, chronic inflammation, even infections that travel upward into the kidneys. What makes this test so powerful is that it's not about numbers or lab results. It's about learning to listen to your body. Most of us aren't taught how to do that. We wait until pain or disruption forces us to pay attention. But the men who age the best, who stay independent and active well into their 70s and 80s, are the ones who check in before things break down. Leonard's results weren't good. It took him less than 10 minutes to feel the urge and more than 2 minutes to empty his bladder, slowly with stops and starts. He admitted he'd been ignoring the signs for years, but with the right care plan, including simple changes to his daily habits, his symptoms improved dramatically in just a few months. More importantly, we caught the issue before it turned into something irreversible. So if you haven't tried this test yet, I encourage you, don't wait. It's a small step that can offer big insight, and if your results are off, don't panic. The goal isn't to scare you, it's to empower you, because knowledge is power. And now that you've seen all the habits, routines, and hidden risks that can quietly impact your prostate health. It's time to bring it all together. In the final section, I'm going to show you how these small daily changes can add up to something much bigger, how they can transform your energy, your sleep, your confidence,